biggest debate taking place in Uganda currently is about the financial year budget, that is 2024-2025. And within here, there are issues to do with the increment on taxes on certain goods and services. But then also, there is discussion and deep discussion about IFRIS, which is purely a tax management system. Now, in this segment, we pick the mind of an expert to find out how best should government pursue its taxation policy in order to recruit as many citizens as possible, especially as regards seeing the positives in paying tax.
It has a lot of complications, but also guidance. Ability to pay and convenience of payment. Come to me to pay tax when I have the money. And I think that's partly also the challenge on IFRIS. You issue an invoice, even a receipt, it does not mean I've received the cash. Quite often people used to write a receipt and say the item was 8 million, you have paid 4. But if I issue this receipt of 8 million, you are able to think I received the 8. But in actual sense, I have written on the receipt balance to be paid. Now, which tax should I pay? On the 8 or on the 4? And remember, small businesses, that cash is important for them for day-to-day survival. So some of them are hitting back to say the moment I issue a receipt, your SA is paid. The moment I issue an invoice, your SA is paid. But there's no cash in my business. So what am I going to do? Because the person paying the tax, as we've said, is the one buying the item. But that person hasn't paid the full amount. So am I going to pay tax on behalf of the customer? I don't have that money. And we've seen very many people being inconvenienced, having to go to the banks because they want to keep their business running. And you are saying, I'm closing you. So they run to a bank, pick a loan, a money lender, pick a loan, and pay the URL to continue their business. But as they continue their business, they are generating again the same problem. So where do I end? So we need to understand the nature of business here in Uganda on when does a person actually get the money for them to be able to pay the taxes. But also you want to come back, as we've said, who actually paid the tax. It should be that consumer. Now, at what point should this tax be collected? The digital stamps is tracking at the manufacturer's level. Now you may find when I said an item here, it already includes the tax component, which possibly the manufacturer has paid and passed on to the price as they were selling to us. You want to avoid taxing on a taxed item already. Because if the tax was picked as exercise or even as customs, you know, like now you have I think one of the other contention of the traders is the mivomba, used clothes. They are saying the tax is in kilos. It should be on value. Because kilos, some of these items have very little value, but they are heavy. This is a raincoat. This is a jean. And moreover, the jean may be damaged. So what happened to taxing based on value? And who is going to pay this tax if the goods have already come in from outside and they are being taxed at the bale level? Now, when we are buying the bales, as they have been cut and all sorts of things, already this person who paid the tax at Malaba or Mombasa or wherever is passing on this tax component to us, the retailers. So what do you want from us, the retailers? Ours should only be business income, not the tax on the items we are selling. Because those items have already paid the tax. Only charge me my business income because I've bought this item at 10,000, I've added my 200. But the 10,000 included the tax that was passed on me. My only business is the 2,000. And so you want to assess me not on the basis of gross sales of 12,000, because the 10 went out. Now, URA, I can hear them saying, we need that record. 12 what went out so that we can sort out. But then it takes us back to transaction costs. My own is like a small business. To generate business records, it's not that I didn't want to. It's a costly process. And I think that's why many Ugandans again say, we are informal. Now, formalization comes with a cost. So the benefit of formalization must overpower the costs of formalization. And for many SMEs, the benefits of formalization are too low to cover the costs of formalization. So I can't be on the internet. Internet is expensive, the gadget is expensive, some of these people, the phones they have are cheap. They cannot even do all the transactions, the internet is off, what am I supposed to do? But even the time for me to enter every receipt, every invoice, man, what I'm dealing with is a fast-moving business downtown. So how do we rationalize those? So I think conversations should be based on understanding the business, not coming from these people that don't want to pay tax. No, there are people who have been paying tax anyway. but now it is the mode of paying the tax. That is their problem. But also explain to them, what is this tax you're bringing? Is it a tax on an item that has already paid tax? So is it a tax on my business? Those clarities need to come through. I think it's counsel to the businesses in as much as possible to keep their records. And some have been trying to. But that said, at what point do we want to engage those records to understand that business? Real time would be the best. But real time, even the banks took time to get to it. So you want to give it time. Real time means we all go on the net. As you transact from your bank, automatically a record goes that you have done that transaction. You will even receive an SMS on your phone. That's real time. Big banks can afford it. So we need to gradually, as we nurture these to get their formalization and records and understanding the business, we need to get to a level to say, how do we phase, what support do we give them? But also, what is the benefit? There are certain businesses in this country that are going to remain informal in the sense, but that does not mean they are not being visible. Because in any case, you don't even want to come and see them. As we always say, you don't have to see where the rat is. You just put the poison where the rat will pass. Now, if I'm selling beer, you don't have to know who is selling beer in village X, but you know how much beer has been sold, because that record is with breweries. So how far should I go to try and understand the business that is happening within the economy?
It is now clear that the 2024-2025 financial budget is going to be the biggest in Uganda's history ever. Now, to experts, it's not about the amount of money government places in a budget. It's about what those resources do or actually are able to execute on the ground at the end of the day. Now, in this segment, we pick the mind of experts to try and find out how best can these resources be utilized for the benefits of Ugandans and government.
This year, government has proposed a raft of amendments of 5 acts in Uganda's tax code. This month, some of the bills, including the Stamp Duty Amendment Bill 2024, the Value Added Tax Amendment Bill 2024, and Excise Duty Amendment Bill have already been passed. To several observers, the Excise Duty Amendment Bill, which introduced additional 100 shillings of tax on diesel and petrol and 300 shillings on paraffin, need critical consideration.
Today, we already have a high expense, higher prices on fuel. Now you are introducing another tax on fuel. Now, what do you want people to pay for? What will people eat? Because the price of food is a function of the price of fuel. So what will happen? The trees are being cut, and you're increasing a tax on fuel. What will happen? Don't you think people are going to go back and even the leisure trees or the flowers, they will cut them and make charcoal? And at the end of the day, we shall have no green.
Once effected, the Excise Duty Amendment Bill will push the tax on diesel and petrol to 1,550 shillings from 1,450 shillings. Those in the real estate sector are also wary of the amendments targeted at building materials and property transactions, including land.
Triggering growth, one, it means that we must be careful in how we tax the sector and how we incentivize the sector. One, in order to attract foreign direct investment or even domestic investment, people must be seeing an opportunity to make a fair return. And to make that fair return, it means you must give them incentives to do so. Now, from the developer's point of view, they would want utilities to be extended into their sites where they're building. Let the water be extended there. Let the power lines be extended there. Let the land be available in a pool. For example, if we have an investor who wants to do real estate development for mass production, 2,000 units of apartments or stuff like that, let's what we call private-public partnership. Land, water, power, so that you cushion down the cost, and that will be reflected in the price of the single unit at the end of the day. If you see a sector that has a huge multiplier effect on other sectors, you can actually benchmark yourself on taking advantage of the other multiplier tax opportunities than direct taxing the sector and make people shy away. Because when they shy away, you lose all the taxes in the value chain. So my view is Someone who is thinking about this sector must know the multiplier effect and must know that actually it is a heartbeat to many things.
The proposed modifications include the introduction of 5% income tax on non-business assets, which among others include land in cities and municipalities and rental properties. To other pundits, however, how the mobilized resources are utilized matters the most.
I think we have got to put our priorities right. Today, emphasis should be put on expenditure control. Okay? However small a pipe may be, if it has no tap at the end, it will always drain a very big drum. In fact, to me, we need an amendment almost in every public sector document to emphasize the issue of accountability and the public expenditure control.